Good morning, Imsa.
Good morning.
Good morning, Imsa.
Good morning.
There we go. Welcome to Convocation. My name is Berger, and I serve as the Chief Student Affairs Officer. I am so pleased to be here with you this morning and to offer my welcome on behalf of the Academy. First, I'd like to welcome our sophomores, the class of 2025. Give them a round of applause. Sophomores, you are embarking on a number of firsts here at Imsa, and I felt honored to be a part of one of those firsts on Thursday when I swabbed all of your noses for COVID, your first COVID test at Imsa. Yes, that is how I greeted many of our sophomores, and all kidding aside, class of 2025, know that you were chosen to be here at Imsa and to be a part of this group of esteemed young learners. We are so excited to see what the next 3 years bring for you here at Imsa. Next, I'd like to welcome the class of 2024. Where are the juniors at? All right, year 2 at Imsa. You're a little wiser going into this year. You've explored your passions, joined clubs and organizations, figured out how to manage your workload, right? Okay, still working, that's okay, it's okay. You built relationships with friends and staff. Class of 2024, you know what they say about junior year. It is a roller coaster, so get ready and know that we're here to support you every step of the way. And of course, we could not begin the academic year without welcoming our faculty and staff. Welcome back, faculty and staff. In the days, weeks, and months leading up to today, your Imsa faculty and staff have been hard at work preparing to open the academic year. And that included some long-awaited projects, the roof, and air conditioning in the gym, which will be wonderful for us going forward. Yeah, we can clap about air conditioning in the gym. That's good, right? Thank you to each and every member of the Imsa faculty and staff for your dedication to our students and to the Academy's mission. And last, but certainly not least, let's recognize our seniors, the class of 2023. Our seniors, the only students here to have experienced Imsa virtually. Today, class of 2023, you begin the first of many lasts. Your last convocation, your last first day of class. I hope this year is full of learning, making memories with your peers, exciting planning towards your future, and so much more. We are so proud of all that you've accomplished, and we are looking forward to celebrating each milestone during your third and final year here with us at Imsa. Convocation represents the first gathering of the Imsa community for the 2022-2023 academic year. The new school year represents a new beginning, a transition and a fresh start. We arrived this morning at our very best, looking our best, hopefully well-rested and feeling our best, which is not always the case, and ready for the new beginnings ahead. There's an excitement and an enthusiasm in the way people were greeting each other this morning in anticipation of what's to come. As we begin this year, I encourage you to look for ways to preserve this level of excitement and energy. And always remember, whether you're a new or returning student, a staff or a faculty member, you are uniquely prepared for the opportunities and challenges that await you this year. And you are uniquely prepared and the best people to provide support, encouragement, and accountability to those around you. So as we begin this year, I'm going to ask what I ask every year, that you please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and take care of this place. I look forward to the amazing things we will do together as an Imsa community. And now, please provide a warm welcome for your Student Council President, Messina Wang.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, Imsa. It is such an honor to welcome everyone back on campus today. As one does, I'll start out by telling you all a little bit about myself. When I was younger, I had a rock collection. It started out as just a small pile of pebbles and concrete shards, really the best I could find in the dry, sandy dirt around my house. But over the course of several years, it turned into something beautiful. I had fragments of striped limestone, chunks of smooth, glassy obsidian, and shimmery blue pieces of quartz. And of course, those dusty pebbles that I had loved and cherished so long ago. My rocks were my pride and joy, and I would spread them across my bedroom floor every day just so that I could admire my collection. When this phase died down, as so many of my phases inevitably did, the rocks found themselves in a small cardboard box in the back of my closet and in the back of my memory. Until this past summer, that is. And as I was cleaning my room in preparation for move-in day, as I know many of us were doing, I found those rocks again, and I couldn't help but think of Imsa. Now, that's not because of our geology class or the many abstract concrete structures we have on campus, or even the way that the geese never seemed to leave, staying as firmly in place on campus as a boulder. It's because the lessons that I've learned as an Imsa student are also the ones that I've learned as a seasoned rock fanatic. Take, for example, the Mohs hardness test. As the name implies, it's a way to determine the relative strength of a mineral, and the premise is simple. If a rock can scratch another rock, it's harder. But if the rock is scratched, it's softer. Easy. But too often do we at Imsa do the same, scratching at each other to determine our place on a man-made and arbitrary scale. What math class are you in? What extracurriculars do you do? How did you score on the SAT or that AdChem test? I read a quote the other day on Instagram, those ones in cursive over an aesthetic pastel background, that read that diamonds are formed under pressure, but bread dough rises when you let it rest. And the truth is, where we fall on this arbitrary scale of strength, or where we place on this spectrum of accomplishment, it doesn't really matter. And as we move forward into another year of learning and grades and extracurriculars, I encourage you all to take a moment to figure out what truly matters to you. I encourage you to try new things, regardless of what other people in your life or your comfort zone might think. I encourage you to try that sport, or join that club, or talk to those people you've seen around campus but don't share classes with. I encourage you to test your strength, but this time, relative to yourself. We are all our own people, and only by choosing what is uniquely and privately right can we truly make the most of what Imsa has to offer. Diamonds are formed under pressure, yes, but graphite has the lowest score on the Mohs hardness scale, yet is the cornerstone of the Imsa student experience. Both are allotropes of the same element, but they are beautiful and unique in two entirely different, incomparable ways that extend beyond one hybridized carbon atom. As I mentioned earlier, my rock collection started out as a small and frankly rather sad pile of pebbles. But soon after, my friends and I started a thriving rock trade. We'd pass rocks under our desks at school when our teacher wasn't looking, haggling and naming prices like experienced street vendors. And it was through this circle that my collection grew, both in size and in vibrancy. This magic of trading something familiar for something new found me again at Imsa. And as we've all heard time and time again, Imsa is diverse in a way that many of us have never experienced before. And I'm not just talking about geographically. Most of my fondest memories from junior year were made after 10 check, just talking to the people in my wing, learning more about how they think and how their perspectives differ from mine. And in a sense, I was, again, trading pebbles for jewels, the familiar for the new. So, to the class of 2023, don't be attached to your pebbles and be willing to exchange the old for the new. This is our last year at Imsa, which is absolutely terrifying, I know. But there's still a full year ahead of us to meet new people and talk to that one person that you never would have thought you would have been friends with in sophomore year. We are the last class at Imsa to have experienced Imsa online, the tail end of a transition back to normalcy, but let our tribulations not hinder our ability to be good upperclassmen. And in the process, let us find a way to leave our legacy. Juniors, the class of 2024, welcome back. Take a moment today to be proud of how far you've come. It wasn't an easy journey, I'm sure, and the year ahead of you won't be one either. But as you start your second year at Imsa, be extra cautious to avoid the toxic Mohs Hardness skill cycle of comparison. Fool's gold looks an awful lot like real gold, and it's so easy to get distracted in the superficial. And lastly, the sophomores. Welcome. You all are like geodes in a way. Perhaps you're a little shy or uncertain of what's to come on the surface right now, but over time, we'll be able to see your inner shine. And as you navigate your first year at Imsa, remember that you are not alone. You have a supportive community as tightly bound together as the atoms in a crystal lattice, and know that you can always rely on your upperclassmen to help crack you open. Not in a literal sense, of course. Imsa students, faculty, staff, guests, administrators, welcome home. The 2022 to 23 school year will be one to remember. Thank you. Now, please welcome to the podium Dr. Evan Glazer, President of Imsa.
Welcome back, Imsa. I want to give, again, a great appreciation to Yina and her wonderful remarks. It is so wonderful to welcome you all back at Imsa at the beginning of the school year. I have to say I've missed you tremendously during the summer. I hope that they've been restful and now you feel inspired to try something new with your creative and innovative spirits. Community health is looking great right now, so there are fewer COVID-related restrictions that I'm sure you'll appreciate as you get to know each other and as you get to make good friends. Please continue to be respectful to those who wear a mask and those who observe greater physical separation as we're still in a pandemic. Also, thank you for participating in weekly COVID testing and keeping up with your vaccination boosters in interest of our community health. I'm so excited to welcome you here to our first day of Convocation. I want to reiterate Ms. Berger's remarks about having a special school year and helping our new Titans in the class of 2025 feel at home. This is your home. You've all made a decision to come to Imsa, and I want to thank you for your interest and your commitment as students and as future leaders who carry the responsibility of advancing the human condition. When you enter the Imsa main building, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are posted to the walls directly to the right. They remind us of the importance of your education and the important role you play towards addressing equity gaps around the world, whether they be ending poverty, reducing inequalities, protecting the planet, and ensuring that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. You, through your education, have a commitment to address those important inequities around the world. At Imsa, We are devoted to changing the trajectory of teaching, learning, and life experiences so that you're equipped to make that difference. This morning, I want to recognize two important public officials in the audience who contribute a great deal to IMSA. First, we have Illinois State Senator Karina from the 25th District, where 41 IMSA students reside. We also have with us Illinois Representative Barbara Hernandez from the 83rd District, where 17 IMSA students reside. These leaders advocate for IMSA to obtain adequate support at the state level so we can continue to innovate in the future. I'm extremely grateful for their leadership, their service, and their commitment to support this institution we so dearly love. Also with us today, we have a whole section of distinguished guests in front of us to celebrate this special occasion. Among them are friends who have contributed so much to make IMSA what it is today, including former faculty and staff, and community members who believe in what IMSA can do to our future. Among them, I would like to recognize IMSA's founding president and President Emerita, Dr. Stephanie Pace Marshall. To our students, I know IMSA can be both invigorating and exhausting at times. It's invigorating because of the unique courses, the projects, the amazing people here, the faculty, the staff, the diversity, the residential life experiences, and great cultural events, just to name a few examples. It can be exhausting when it feels like there's too much on your plate and you can't keep up. Or you might bite off more than you can chew. Or you feel down because you're not progressing in the way you'd expect. So as we head into this academic year, my key piece of advice is, when you're stuck in honey, find a honey badger. If you have never seen a honey badger before, they are about the size of a skunk. However, they're much more fierce when they encounter a threat. If you are a venomous snake, that honey badger will make you wish you had armor. If a lion comes near, that honey badger will make them meow like a kitten. Now, I don't want you to think that when the going gets tough, you defend yourself mercilessly. Instead, if you feel like an academic zombie, you must realize there are different pathways to get unstuck. The honey badger believes nothing will threaten her survival, and a proactive response is needed to protect her welfare. Also, the honey badger is given its name because it loves honey. It's a friend that will stay close and help you resolve a sticky situation by offering an approach that maybe you haven't thought of before. 2,600 years ago, Aesop wrote a fable about maneuvering around sticky situations titled The Crow and the Pitcher. Here it goes. In a spell of dry weather, when the birds could find very little to drink, a thirsty crow found a pitcher with a little water in it. But the pitcher was high and had a narrow neck, and no matter how he tried, the crow could not reach the water. The poor thing felt as if he must die of thirst. Then an idea came to him. Picking up some small pebbles, he dropped them into the pitcher one by one. With each pebble, the water rose a little higher until at last it was near enough so he could drink. The key is that there's always another path. Even during the most challenging times, and those new pathways will help you become clearer in your needs and empower you to lead you and your learning. The only part of the crow story I would change is we all need a good friend when we're stuck, so you don't have to worry alone. You don't need to think of your solutions on your own. And our interest for you at IMSA is to feel ignited with your work, doing something here that wouldn't be possible elsewhere, and inspire your future direction and far beyond IMSA. With this in mind, I wish you a wonderful launch to the school year. I look forward to getting to know you more, learning more about what IMSA means to you, and the aspirations you have to make the Academy a better place for learning and growing. And don't forget, if you get stuck in honey, find your honey badger. And if you don't have one yet, on behalf of the faculty and staff, we're here for you. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. Please give a warm welcome to your Principal and Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Comfort Akwaji-Anderson.
Hello, Imsa. All right. Thank you, Dr. Glazer. I am Dr. Comfort Akwaji-Anderson, Principal and Chief Academic Officer here at Imsa. First, welcome. I hope you have enjoyed a wonderful summer. I hope you're relaxed and ready to start a new year. We are here today to revisit the Imsa tradition of convocation. Convocation is when we celebrate the official start of the new school year. It is a time to begin new relationships and new opportunities with a new attitude. To our incoming sophomores, thank you for joining us. You have worked hard to get here. This is one of 3 Imsa convocations you will experience as part of your Imsa journey. Our commitment is to support you to the finish line in 2025. To our returning juniors, we missed your positive energy and are glad to have you back on campus. And to our seniors who are celebrating their final convocation as Imsa students, we are anticipating your innovative contributions and leadership as you prepare for the future. Please join me in giving a round of applause to our students from all classes. To our new faculty and staff, and to our returning colleagues, welcome to the 2022-2023 academic school year. All signs point to a good year. Students and colleagues, as you proceed to the academic year at Imsa, I offer the following ingredients for success. 1, there are moments when you may not feel 100% confident. I encourage you to show up and always give your best. 2, there are times when you may think you have to solve problems on your own. You may feel stuck, like Dr. Glazer said earlier. But I encourage you to ask for help from peers, from teachers, navigation leaders, or from a staff member you feel comfortable with, because we are here to support each other. 3, let's face it, this is a new year, and for many of you, a new place, with unfamiliar people and experiences. What can you do? Imsa is a place where you could try new things, make new friends, share your thoughts, and be open to new ideas from others. So, take a deep breath, pause, and look around. I hope you will encode this moment in your memory. Now, we have a musical selection which should help us all relax and enjoy this moment together. With that said, I will now invite Irene Park, class of 2023, and Robert Sachs to provide our featured musical selection. Thank you so much, Irene. All right. At this time, I am excited to introduce our keynote speaker. Mr. Joe Beda graduated from Imsa in 1993, when Imsa was still very new in the state of Illinois. He attended Harvard College and earned a Bachelor of Science degree. Joe began his professional career at Microsoft, where he was a core team member for Internet Explorer. Next, he transitioned to Google, where he started as software engineer. He started as software engineer, then became responsible for bringing Google Talk, which became Google Hangouts and Google Meet, to the market. During his 10 years at Google, he is most well known for his work in co-founding the Kubernetes project, the Kubernetes project. Thank you, Joe. Kubernetes is a portable cloud platform that is the gold standard for running multi-container applications at scale. You can tell he's very techy. He also worked with Google Ads, that system, to help advertisers get the most out of their advertising budget using machine learning and big data analysis. Joe was then a founding member of Google Cloud Platform, started the Google Computer Engine project, and led many new technologies at Google, including an expanded investment in virtualization, virtual networking, virtual block devices, and API systems. Most recently, Joe was a principal engineer at VMware. He arrived at VMware via the acquisition of Heptio, a leader in the cloud-native movement and a company that he co-founded. Upon completion of the acquisition of Heptio by VMware, Joe joined the principal engineer community at VMware and helped to expand the technical and product investment at VMware in the cloud-native space. Before starting Heptio, Joe was an entrepreneur in residence with the VC firm Accel. While exploring startup ideas, he helped guide portfolio companies and advise on new investment opportunities. Joe lives in Seattle with his wife Rachel and his 2 daughters. It is my pleasure to welcome back to Imsa a very special alumnus and a keynote speaker, Mr. Joe Beda.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. That was amazing. That's a tough act to follow. I really hope I'm up to it. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much for summarizing my history. I think what you can draw from that is I had a pretty traditional path. As far as technology goes, I graduated from Imsa 30 years ago. I was where you all are sitting about 30 years ago, looking down my senior year. And in those 30 years, I went to college, I got a CS degree, I worked in industry, and created a company, sold it. Along the way, my beautiful wife, Rachel, had a couple of kids and a dog, moved to Seattle. It's all pretty straightforward. But about a couple of months ago, I quit. And I retired, and I find myself at a personal crossroads. I don't know what the future holds for me. And I believe many of you are also at a crossroads. For those of you that are just joining Imsa for your sophomore year, first of all, welcome. And IMSA's gonna stretch you and challenge you in ways that you can't predict. It's gonna be exciting, but also it's kind of scary. And I remember the feeling when I first showed up at IMSA as a sophomore. For those of you in your senior year, this is a time of change. You're going to be launching yourself out into the world. And I think, one thing is a lot of us here, we tend to be planners. We try and work all the angles, try and figure out what's going to happen. And no matter how careful a planner you are, you can't plan for what's coming next. The next year and the next several years of your life are really going to throw all sorts of surprises at you. For those of you in the middle, the juniors, every new school year is a blank notebook where you get to write your story, and you're almost there. You're getting there. One caveat as I jump in that I really want to stress is I'm a sample size of 1. My path is not going to be your path. I have privileges and headwinds that are unique to me, and I think all of us really do. You look at me, I'm a, oldish, cishet white dude, right? Please take my comments, as they're useful for you, and if they're not, discard them. I think you know best in terms of what works for you and what doesn't. All right, I want to structure my comments around looking at IMSA through the lens of the past, the present, and the future. As we look towards the past, we need to recognize that we're a product of the experiences and the people around us. And so I want to give thanks to all the folks that really worked so hard to get us here. The staff and the faculty here, your family at home, your supporters, the people that helped you move in last week, all of those people have dedicated a portion of their lives because they believe in building a better world. And they're working through you to be able to build that better world. And so I'm thankful to them. My parents, I wish they could be here. They're not able to. My sister is able to join us. We're going to show them the video afterwards. So a thank you to them and a thank you to all the people here that have dedicated so much of their life to making Imsa and you happen. I also want to acknowledge that being a high school student and a teenager is hard. My girls are 17 and 13, so I get a front row seat to see how hard it is for them. And I think all of us, we look back at our years in high school with a mixture of sort of pride and embarrassment. It's a really, really hard time. I want to remind you that, while your past selves are part of what makes you who you are not your past selves. And so give yourself the freedom to change, to adapt, and that's really some of the magic of the time in high school is you get to reinvent yourself almost on a daily basis if you need to. So give yourself permission to be able to learn and change like that. No person ever steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river and they are not the same person. So this is a quote from Heraclitus, an ancient Greek philosopher 2,500 years ago. And I find this quote inspiring, and I think it's actually kind of fun that so long ago it still seems so relevant today. Beyond that, I think a lot of us, or at least I was labeled as gifted when I was growing up. At least that was the term that we used 30 years ago. I don't know if that's the term that everybody uses today. That's a pretty heavy label. That sits heavily on your shoulders. It did for me. And, there's a lot of problems facing the world today, and a lot of that is mine and previous generations leaving that onto you. And I'm sorry for that. We're all trying our best here. But it's not up to you to solve these things by yourself. I think a lot of times when you hear these things, there's all this talk around future leaders. You will be future leaders, but I think look at that as participating in the systems that will change and improve the world. You don't have to do it alone. You have people around you to help you. So I want to take some of that burden off your shoulders. It's okay to say, I don't know. All right, let's shift to talk about the present a little bit. Imsa is really a special place. I'm so happy, honestly, that it's still here. The early days, this was not a sure thing. When I showed up for my sophomore year, the dorm that I was supposed to live in wasn't built yet. And so, the administration, thought on their feet and they moved a bunch of bunk beds into the main building, and we spent several months living in the main building. There was a lot of improvisation there. And for me, it's so great to see how far the institution has come. And a huge thank you to the state of Illinois for continuing to support Imsa through this journey, because it really is quite a special place. Now, I grew up in Glen Ellen, not far from here, and I didn't have a great time in my home high school. I didn't find a lot of people there that I could relate to. And so one of the special things about Imsa is that you have a chance to find your people, the people that you get along with, the people that understand you. And that's really a very special thing and something that is really pretty rare. And also, Imsa represents the best of what Illinois, and I understand soon beyond Illinois, have to offer. And so the institution draws people from all over the state. And so when I say find your people, I want you to look deeper, to find the people that you can relate to on a deep way. There are abundant opportunities to learn from your fellow students and find connection in ways that are not obvious to you from the outside. And so, whether you're meeting people that are rural or live in the city or, have all sorts of different experiences from you, that's really a special and unique opportunity that I really encourage you to take advantage of. All right, beyond academics, there's a set of skills that I started learning in Imsa that have served me well through my life and my career. And I want to enumerate some of these things pretty quickly for you. So the first is the value of communication, becoming a good communicator. It's so easy in a school like this to focus on the science and the technology and really sort of stay with the things that feel objective to you. But genius in isolation is not impactful. You really need to learn how to communicate and bring other people along. Related to that is the idea of community. We rely on each other, and I think this is a theme that you're hearing through a lot of the comments that folks are making today. In my industry, the computer science industry, there's this idea that you'll hear of the 10x engineer. This is somebody that's so smart, so special, that they can be 10 times as effective as all the other regular mere mortal engineers. I don't think these people exist. You do find some folks that are really effective, but they tend to leave a trail of destruction behind them. And so the real 10x engineer, the real 10x people are those that make the people around them better. They end up being force multipliers, and people like to work with them, and they end up being able to create the community that together is that much more effective. Another saying that I like is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So seek out mentors and advocates, people that will help you to succeed, your honey badgers. But then also, in turn, you need to be mentors and advocates for other people around you. It works both ways. And then finally, there's empathy. We all struggle. Sometimes you can see it from the outside, sometimes it's hidden. Nobody really has an easy path through this life. So I encourage you to practice listening. When you hear something that you don't agree with, dig deeper and listen harder. When somebody shares their experience with you, recognize that that's a gift. You can't demand it, you can't judge it. You have to just open yourself up and try and understand what they're telling you. And that's a skill that helps you to build that community and helps you really to connect with people on a deeper level. All right, now let's shift to talk about the future. I don't know what the next 30 years is going to look like for you, so I'm going to give you some generic advice. Take it as you will. The first is that you have agency. You can steer your life. So many times, especially when you're in school, life feels very formulaic. You do A and B, C happens. You get this score on the test, you get this grade, you get this GPA, you get into this college, you go to this college, you get in, this job, you pay your dues as a junior, whatever, you make it to partner, whatever. There's always this very linear path that you feel like you're going through. I encourage you to be thoughtful about when and how you play that game. There are choices that are not always obvious to you where you can decide what success looks like for you. I know many people, myself included, that have followed that obvious path only to end up in a place where you look around and say, how did I get here, and is this where I want to be? So take the time to really introspect and understand where it is you want to go, and then recognize that the expectations for others, the obvious next path, may not be the path for you. And then the final piece of generic advice for you is to find positive sum situations. A positive sum situation is where you add up all the wins and the losses and it's greater than zero. Oftentimes people talk about win-win situations for this. A lot of folks tend to see the world through the lens of, for me to win, you must lose. And honestly, that's a really sad perspective to take. The only way that we can get out of the mess that we're in today is if we can work together where everybody wins. And it's not breaking any laws of physics to have interactions where somebody, where everybody out of that interaction feels like they're getting ahead. You're going to be a happier person and you're going to be surrounded by happier people if you work to create and discover those positive sum situations. So with that, I want to wrap up. Thank you so much for having me here. I owe Imsa so much, and I want to pay that forward. So any of the students here, and the faculty also, if there's anything I can do to help you, any perspective or advice, please reach out to me. My email address is joe@bedafamily.com. You can reach out to any of the folks on stage here, and they know how to get a hold of me also. And I'm happy to set up some time and talk to you and provide whatever perspective or advice that I can. I believe in you, not just to do amazing things, but also to be true to yourself as you continue this journey together that is Imsa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joe. As principal, I would like to conclude today's convocation with a few words to our students and colleagues. One of the Imsa belief statements that you will see posted around the campus is that meaning is constructed by the learner. It implies that we are all learners and that we need to try new things and sometimes get our hands dirty. It also means that some of our attempts will not work as we expected. In order for each of us to construct meaning, we have to put together the building blocks in new configurations, then see what stands up and what configuration falls down. So, as we start our courses of study, remember to show up. Never be afraid to ask for help. Take a chance. Some of you may not know this, but I am originally from Cameroon in Africa, in Central Africa actually. A long time ago, I took a chance to come to the United States to go to school, all by myself. I was scared, but I did not let that stop me. I took a chance. So please take a chance. Also, look after yourself. My colleague, Ms. Berger, said this earlier. Look after yourself, especially your health, both physical and mental. Finally, I would like to thank the colleagues who worked tirelessly to make this convocation a reality today. Murda, Sherry, Lotus, Paul and Anita from the principal's office, Dottie, Bill, Raf, our facilities team, the OPA team, the student affairs team, that includes RCs, of course, cabinet members, the faculty and staff. Thank you to our alumni keynote speaker, Beda, and our musical performers, Irene Park and Robert Sachs. At this point, I will ask Joe to join me and ring the ceremonial bell to start the new school year. Yes. Please stay seated. Please stay seated after you hear the bell for some instruction.